All right, welcome to episode 2 of the Texas Gulf Surfer. We appreciate y'all, everybody that checked out our first episode, and we got a lot of feedback. I appreciate it. Everybody, little nice words. We appreciate everything.
Yes, that's right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back, Texas Gulf Surfer. My name is Jeff D. Nicola. My host, Austin Campbell, King of Surfside. Man, we're so glad to be here, man. It was kind of fun that first time. We were a little bit nervous, and we had some technical snafus, but we got some good feedback, so we're kind of encouraged to keep going, right?
Yeah, we're gonna hit it up. We're gonna talk about finish up what we were talking about the first one about some winter surf, and we're gonna hit our news and topics first. So I guess we're just gonna get right into it.
Yes, there is still no surf currently here in Surfside Beach, Texas, but I was able to get some direct information from Chris Shannon, who is down in Port A. If you don't know Chris, you find him on Facebook, Joe Surf, man, absolute excellent guy. Always keep you pumped up. He's been around many, many years. His son's a good surfer. But anyway, what he told me, which I found a little interesting, was they got waves after our wave stopped here, which is sometimes normal, right? But for the last 3 days, and if you go to Texas Gulf Surfer, we have some pictures posted, what he sent me of Port A, and it was really good and clean, like waves to chest high and great sandbars, peeling waves, supposedly a place that's called a Dunes Condominium. There's an excellent sandbar there that some locals were shining from what I found out.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, that swell, if especially it's coming from that way, it's going to hit us. It's going to keep going. As it keeps going, it kind of builds a little bit. So, that's a lot of times that east kind of that swell comes through there. They're going to get a pretty good swell down there. So
yeah, and it seems like it lasts a few days longer down there. I don't know if it's the deep water fathoms, but it seems to stretch out there. We get it good here, but when it goes flat, it pretty much goes pretty quickly.
Right. Yeah, they got a little deeper. I guess a little more drop off.
But if it makes you feel any better, it's very cold down there. They're in full-length booties, hoods, gloves, the whole bit, too. So there's no reprieve by being a little bit south of us. And just based on our last swell down in South Padre Island, got a little bit of information down there, and they did not get the good swell. They got some waves prior to the cold front, but when the cold front gets into the Gulf of Mexico, sometimes down there it gets kind of not so good. The wind that's very favorable here is not so good for down there in South Padre.
Right, yeah, they're turned so much that it'll get like side shore when it's offshore here. So just like when we get the east wind and it's terrible here and it blows all the way across that east swell, it's great there. So we do a little better. So all right, well, and so what else we got in the news?
Oh, we do got some good stuff. Austin, I was unable to go to the soft opening of the Texas Surf Museum in Galveston. Austin got to go with his lovely wife, Kathleen, to represent Surfside, and I want to get a little bit of information because I was unable to go. So tell me what that was about.
Yeah, it was great. Unfortunately, my wife didn't get to go. She was on call. So, but hey, Chet and Trinidad met me up there.
They were your dates?
Yeah, they were my dates. So we met up there.
Bad.
And then, but it was a great turnout. There's it's almost like a little 3-story when you go in there. So they did a great job. Everybody there. I didn't even take any pictures. I was so busy talking to. There were so many people there to talk to. Man, everybody was there. I saw James Fulbright there. Cool. I saw Max Sanford there. He was our security. Of course, Al Brown was there. There's just a ton of guys there. One thing I'll say is they did a good job really with they have a lot of shirts there to sell. They have a lot of good stuff there for the museum, a lot of goods, and they're right there by the what is it, the cruise ships? Cruise ship terminal. Cruise ship terminal. Mm-hmm. So they're not right on the Strand. They're a little bit off the Strand, just barely. And I think it's going to be a good spot for them. The more they host some events and stuff like that. But yeah, great turnout. I think they raised some more money. Had a pretty good day in sales. I saw a lot of people buying some shirts and everything. They had some snacks and stuff like that. So it was real good.
That's good. And that was kind of like the soft opening for the hot shots and the VIPs and things like that. Us normal people will be going on February 15th. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, February 15th.
And get out there and support them, man. That's a Texas Surf Museum, and that is important for us. And just about everybody that I know has really backed it and is behind that.
Yeah, yeah, it was good. And then let's see, there's something else. So we were going to talk about on our last show. We forgot to mention we had a little chili cook-off up here, and
Epic. So
it was
cool,
great.
guys.
Normally, the city of Surfside does a chili cook-off, and it didn't make it this year. There's some stuff going on, and it just didn't make. I think really what happened, a lot of people didn't sign up. They were kind of maybe lollygagging around and didn't sign up, so they didn't have enough people to have it. So we just couple of guys, mostly some surfers, honestly, were in the shop. They said, "Hey, man, we were going to enter and we want to have a contest. Can we do it at the shop?" So I said, sure. And we had about six more. We had a few more teams, maybe 5 or 6 more teams that wanted to sign up. So we ended up with about 8 teams here, I think, something like that. And we had about 200 people come through and vote. We just had
Great.
You just had to come in the shop, grab a ticket for free, taste all the chili, and give whoever you like the best, give them a ticket, right?
Yeah, it was a great event. That's exactly what I did.
Yeah, it was great. So it was like 200 people came through. We had a couple teams that were some surfers. We had Thunder and what was it called? Thunder and Spice.
Yes, Thunder and
Thunder
Spice.
and Spice.
That was one team.
That was the
Yes.
Thunder Boys. Larry and Larry McKenzie and
Yes.
John. I'll mess your name up. Wojciechowski.
Close enough.
And their wives and
Pulaski.
stuff. And then we had the Nelson Boys.
Yeah, the Nelson boys
The
came
Nelson
and
boys.
represented good chili.
Shout out to them. And then we had Rick Morris and his wife.
Yep.
And
They
were
won the event.
Team Pot Liquor. Yep. They won the event, and it was one. They won the event by one vote.
That's
one
great.
ticket. Yeah. They John and the Thunder and Spice came in second.
Good.
By one
good.
vote, 40-39. We even did a recount.
So for you
make
folks
sure.
that missed it this year, it's going to be an annual thing right here at Surf Station. And chili cook-off, really good time. Man.
Yeah.
Go to the Surf Station website. There's some still pictures on there. No?
Yeah. There's some
Yeah.
pictures on the Surf Station Facebook page and stuff like that. So it was have fun. So, but yeah, we're gonna do some more stuff like that. So, and then the last thing in the news really I want to talk about is the groins. The beach. Everybody's the big thing that. We're losing our beach. Everybody knows we're losing our beach, right? Especially right here from the jetties to down Ocean Street or something like that, Ocean Avenue. So they're supposed to build some groins. They're supposed to do beach nourishment, put in more sand. So I just had a little update. So I kind of got in the ear of I emailed Randy Weber's office.
And who is he?
Randy Weber's our congressman.
Okay.
Right. So I emailed him and got to somebody in his office in Washington, and nicely gave them a piece of my mind as nice as I could, and really really nice, but
No, not Austin
just
doing that. Come on now.
just told them what was going on, and I got to the right person, and he actually sent down his one of the assistants and I guess the director of this location for Randy Weber.
Wow.
And so they came down, they looked at the beach, saw how much beach we've lost. They were kind of amazed how much beach used to be there and how many houses used to be there. And I told them about the groins we're supposed to get, asking them questions, how come this isn't happening? And she actually got back to me recently, told me that the permit was, they have to do a, analysis for like the wildlife and stuff like that, to make sure it's going to be environmental impact analysis is what they call it. So they have to do that.
Wow, dude! You before the podcast, you told me we were going to talk a little bit about this, man. I didn't know this is huge. No, you actually got a hold of them. They came back and got back to you, and as surfers, man, this is a dream for us to get some.
So we're trying to, and some people. There was some guys out surfing the day that they came down. The surf was really good at the jetties, and there were some people out surfing, and some of the guys were out there, and they were like, "Oh, the surf's real good here," I explained to them, this is a good place. We need some help. So she found out that the environmental impact study is done by the Texas Parks and Wildlife, and they were put in to do it. There was no timeline for them to do the impact study. So it was just sitting there. So because she talked to him and she told him, she came down here and explained to him, hey, one of the things they were worried about was the sea turtles nesting on our beach. And she explained to him, like I told her, there's no beach for the sea turtles to nest on in this particular area. So one of the things we're going to do is, let's get this fixed so maybe one day they can nest there. So what they did is they told them, hey, maybe you should get moving on this. And now there's actually a time frame that they have, but that they have to do the environmental impact study.
I salute you for that, man.
So we're just hoping that, they move along. If once they do the environmental impact study, the company that has the contract to do it can kind of get started. So we're hoping maybe, we just fingers crossed, we keep hearing everything, but at least we got some news. So
man, that is good. Not only would that help property values maintain, and, just from a sheer surfing standpoint, man, we need a couple little jetties. We really need about 10 of them.
Yeah, this is going to be one at Thunder. The plan is one at Thunder Road, at a slight angle towards the jetties, 350 feet out, I think, and then one at 332, which is where the A-frames are, and that one would go straight out about the same distance. That's the original plan. I don't know what's changed. I haven't talked to some other guys. Have some real good information on that, about maybe if they've changed the plans, but yeah. So that's where we're at there.
Man, I'm pumped on that. Just some quick TGSA news. We are possibly on call for this weekend. Let everybody know how that goes. We'd love to get a contest done in Galveston so we can move on to Surfside. But I think, man, we're want to go and kind of connect to what Austin and I were talking about on our first podcast, because we're in winter and we're talking about winter surfing conditions and equipment and breaks and things like that. And I think we talked a little bit about the conditions, and we touched on it earlier, how northwest wind here we like, and it's different for down there, and it affects different places on the coastline. But then part of being a winter surfer in Texas, I want to have you kind of elaborate a little bit on this, and that's where to surf. Because even though I missed the swell last week, I saw some pictures of Matagorda, and I did see some pictures of Surfside, and I'm like, wow, I would have probably been in Surfside and would have missed Matagorda. So where you go surfing in these cold front events can be very tricky. Where to be and to be at the right time. And then I'm going to throw this out there just a little bit for you. Galveston, pretty good. 91st Street on an offshore wind versus here. There's that theory too. So give me what you're thinking on that. And please, down below, tell us what you think as well.
Yeah, if you're on our YouTube channel or Spotify, if you're just leave a comment if you got any comments, or if you want to hit us up on our Facebook page, or we got the Instagram page up there now.
Yep.
So just shoot us a message to the to the page, leave us a comment or something like that. But yeah, leave all the comments below.
So where do you go surfing when it's good? There's the age-old question.
Yeah, and I mean it's always going to be different depending on where the wind's blowing from, where the swell's coming from, right? I mean, we know that just from here locally, Surfside versus Quintana, right? It could be terrible on this side because we have a heavy east wind, and then you go over to Quintana,
Yes.
And you go over there, and it's blocking it because the jetties, the blocking the east wind, so it's good between the jetties and the pier. So we just know right away, that, and so just like Fish Pass, all those other places that have some kind of jetty that sticks out. So other than that, it's which way your coast is sitting, right? So we sit southeast, Surfside, and a lot of people, surfers use the term onshore, offshore, so we don't have to know exactly like which way we face, right? So we're facing southeast. Your beach might face northeast or west or whatever, but you just say onshore, offshore. So the wind's blowing onshore, offshore. If it's blowing onshore, it's building offshore. So generally, for Surfside, we want a southeast wind to build
the surf,
right,
correct.
and then a northwest to clean it up. So a lot of times people think they'll see a north wind and they're thinking, oh, it's going to be offshore, because your brain automatically thinks north. It's going to be straight this way. But really, what happens in Surfside a lot of times is north is a little bit side shore, right? It's a little bit off. So ideally for us, if we can get those cold fronts those cool fronts that come from the west, from the northwest, and they blow a northwest wind, that's when we're going to get our best surf. Galveston, they do a little better on a north wind, right? So if the wind's blowing out of the north, they get a little cleaner surf than we do. Like their surf's a little cleaner. Even that east, they handle the northeast a little bit better than we do. So there's plenty of times where it's better there. The wintertime, you can get these heavy winter storms where, and a lot of times you get like northeastern or really it's just like an eastern where you get like a heavy wind, and then if it blows 20 mile an hour out of the east for, I don't know, 3 or 4 days, then places like Surfer's Isle might start breaking. We're going to start naming spots here and get in trouble. So break out the Tom Coyle, break out the map.
No,
but yeah,
secret spot.
So stuff like that. So you get like different places. Same thing like we said before. The east wind, it blows really heavy east a lot, right, in the winter.
Right.
And so Padre, for them, that ends up being like right on shore, right? So it cleans up. So you can chase it all over the place, but.
Here in Surfside, what is our best wind for building the surf?
It's always southeast.
Southeast, which is coming across
It's coming
the jetty
straight.
a little bit.
No, southeast is straight on
Gotcha.
board.
Okay.
But
I'm with you,
now
I'm
if
with
it's going south, it's going to be a little cleaner at the jetty, right?
Right,
So-
because we have some protection.
Yeah, so it kind of cleans up. But
Understood.
But the winter time for sure. Winter, that's what we're looking for. We're waiting for those cold fronts to come through. So they're going to always get down there as it comes from this way and kind of builds farther. They're going to get a little more. But I don't know, now, like you're saying, Matagorda, those guys had some pretty nice looking surf.
Sure did.
Have you surfed there a lot?
I did when I was younger. I was a Matagorda shell bank rat. I mean, for years I would dog down there in my 4-wheel drive, and I love the place. It breaks hard. It's not a super good longboard way, but you can ride a longboard there. It breaks super hard. A lot of fun. There's challenges with getting there. There's challenges with the beaching conditions and currents. But when you do catch that place, and there's a group of people that are committed to doing that, and I love it when they post the pictures of that. I'm not one of those people, but it sure does look good down there, doesn't it?
Well, Matagorda is super photogenic no matter what. Now, you get down there and you're on a shortboard. I would say, like, I'm never taking my longboard to Matagorda. Like, there's just I'm not, if I go to Matagorda, I'm taking a shortboard for sure.
Understood.
Because it breaks fast. And so, and it looks so good. So if you're going to get a good wave on that fast breaking wave, you're going to have to drop in, get tucked in, and get down the line and get a little, like, little mini barrel, or sometimes get a little barrel, something like that. Now, I've surfed it real big and stuff like that, but I don't think I've ever even brought a longboard there. Because it does. Now, also, it's super photogenic.
It is.
There's times that I've seen it that it looked amazing, but the wave just broke too fast to do anything but go down the line and try to get like a little barrel, right?
Yeah.
So
what is the one photographer that does real good work down there? Is it Tony Woodall?
he goes down there a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Shane was just there the other day.
Jennings goes a lot too, and man, I love their work. And you're right; it's very photogenic. Since they've rearranged the jetty and done some manipulation of that river mouth, I have not really been down there to surf. I understand there's like a cove that can get a roping little left or something.
We're calling it like middles or in between, or there's all kinds of names for it right there, right? But I surfed there one day. I was with Melford and Melvis Presley.
Oh yes,
and so I was there. We were there one day. We surfed, and it was breaking the best A-frame I've ever seen in Texas in my life off there. Yeah. And it was great. Almost stand-up barrel. I mean, it was big. But sometimes it gets too crazy right there. But wintertime in Matagorda definitely is a good spot to go hit up. I would say this, like, if you're not super experienced surfer, you know what I'm saying? If you're not super experienced surfer,
a beginner spot.
It's not a place I'd go to because it's hard to get to in some spots, and it breaks hard, breaks fast, and the guys down there are pretty experienced. So that's something, that's something we'll touch on in another topic.
That's Nick's podcast. Yeah. But really back to that the equipment is one thing, and like I said, we touched on that first podcast. The wetsuits. I'm an advocate of the more rubber the better, because I can't move anyway in it, so I might as well be super warm. But even the conditions from 50 yards to the right, 50 yards to the left, from just speaking about our local breaks, when I'm at Jetty Park and I look down sometimes at Thunder and Crab, it appears to be a little bigger and more powerful. And at times I've written it off to an optical illusion, but it looks bigger and more powerful down there. So sometimes for surfers, just making a call 100 feet or 100 yards can make the difference in a session. And that's tricky to get that part right too, and that comes with local knowledge too.
Yeah,
So,
I think depending on how good it is, that's kind of it sort of becomes like a preference, right?
Right.
So if it's now, there's plenty of times where, depending on which way the swell's coming from, it hadn't wrapped around the jetty far enough, so the jetty's too small. It's tiny, at the jetty park. So you go down farther down the beach, and there's some surf.
Right.
If it's just good everywhere, then it's just personal preference, right? Because, like, me personally, I think the jetty park has the worst wave in the world. No. So the jetty park, I think, has a longer line, right?
I think it's typically
It has
cleaner.
a longer line. It has a longer,
Yeah.
cleaner line. And then like at Beach Drive down there, it breaks a little heavier, right? A little harder, as much as it can.
Yeah.
And then, but I don't think it lines up quite as well, and I mean, I think that doesn't change a whole lot, winter to summer. You know what I'm saying? That didn't change.
No.
But I just like when it gets offshore and it's lining up, man, I'm just rather be down with the long line. So
I think that's where we're most comfortable. It's easy to get in the parking lot, out on your board. Since we've unfortunately lost some of our crossovers here at Surfside, it's been difficult to access some of the breaks that we also like to surf. And, if it makes you feel any better, man, we got our gripes up here in the northern part of the coast with our erosion, our walkovers and stuff of that nature. Man, I was talking to Nate Floyd. They got the same issues down there. They're fighting the counties on beach erosion and where to put the sand and out, where to put the sand and sand dunes and this nature. So, I think as our podcast progresses, we're going to touch on, we'll never be political or religious, but we will touch on some subjects at beach erosion, environmental issues, from sea turtles to you name it, and things that are important to us as surfers. And we won't get too crazy with that. Do you think, Austin? But you think we'll probably
we're going to hit on the stuff that we're trying to. I mean, the beach,
save our beaches type thing.
Without
right?
the beach, there's really nothing here for Surfside. So yeah, but so that's pretty much it as far as that goes on the beach stuff. We'll get back to the winter topic, I guess.
Finish with that.
The wetsuits really, they've come a long way, right? So it used to be like, you didn't even want to put a wetsuit on. I tried to go all the way into December without a wetsuit, and then just put one on. Just surf for a few minutes without one. But now they're so good. So, you can almost get through. With some of these, you can almost get through the whole winter with just a 3.2. Now we put a 4.3 on, the other day just because I got one.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so they've gotten pretty good.
And this I will tell you, and wetsuits technology has gotten a lot better. But here's my personal experience. I bought and I'm guilty, and my shirt says it right here. Always buy locally from your surf shop before you point and click. It's always better to go to your local surf shop, no matter where you're at on the Gulf Coast, and buy stuff from them. But I'm guilty of doing it myself. When I've bought the cheap Temu wetsuit, I've experimented with booties and gloves, and I've even bought a knockoff 4.3, and I've come back to the realization, and correct me if I'm wrong, buy local. The more you spend on a wetsuit, to me, you're getting a lot warmer, a lot more flexible, and a lot better product. When you cut corners on a wetsuit, it is a miserable experience. I've learned the hard way, and I'm just now going to buy the grade A top of the line wetsuits. I don't give a squat what they cost because I want to be warm, and it just seems better when I spend more mentally, and I think I'm getting a better product. Is that correct?
Well, it costs more to make it, right? A better,
right.
The wetsuit, whoever's producing it, it's costing them more to make it if they're better wetsuits. But yeah, I'm particular on everything I sell at the surf station. Like, I don't sell, if I don't think it's good quality, I don't sell it.
Right.
We don't sell anything just because it looks cool or somebody else is selling it or something like that. Like, I only sell products that I'm like, hey, this is good stuff. I wear it, I use it, or something like that. So, right now I'm selling the Buells and the Narvals. There's other, XL. I've sold some XL stuff. They have good wetsuits too. If I'd say most of the wetsuits, if you spend the money and buy the top of the line, they're pretty good. The entry level wetsuits. One thing I'll say about Buell is their entry level wetsuit is really, really good.
I agree.
You know, so like you get you spend, $200, $250 on a Buell wetsuit. It's a really good wetsuit. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have a really good wetsuit. Now, like I said, the Narvals we have, they're on the rack. They're $425. Man, when I put one on, it's the Yamamoto neoprene.
Yep.
It was definitely the stretchiest neoprene, stretchiest wetsuit I've ever put on. So, and then it has they all got different kind of like fur, I want to call it, inside now lining.
That lining,
right?
yeah.
They all got different kinds, different brands. They just have one that has like it has like a graphene in the material, supposed to keep you warmer. So they all got different stuff. So they're so much better now. There's really no reason not to surf in the wintertime, right? Like you go get a good wetsuit. I prefer here's a good question. I prefer the front zips. 2 reasons.
Thank you for talking about this.
Yeah, 2 reasons I like the front zips better. One, with the zip, as it comes over your head with the zipper right here, there's not a zipper in the back. And so without having that zipper in the back, you're stopping. The zipper creates like a point where it doesn't stretch, right? So when you eliminate that, you get a little stretchier.
Okay,
right?
now
So
I
that's
understand.
good. Now me personally, I got long hair, so I don't like the zipper in the back because I'm catching my hair in it. You know what I'm saying? So, but I would say a lot of people that surf a lot tend to lean towards the front zips. The problem with them, though, some people have shoulder problems. So some people have a hard time getting out of the front zips, getting their shoulders down. So, there's disadvantages to both of them. There's even the no zips that you just stretch and you step into. Narval has a couple of those too. We don't have any on the rack or anything, but yeah.
Is it true that the front zips are warmer? This is what I've heard.
I mean, you're sealed. You don't have that zipper to let some water in. The zipper has the way they're built is there's a zipper and then there's a flap that kind of keeps the water. So it's going to get in with the zipper.
Right.
They're, generally the front zips are your higher, I guess you're going to be your higher end or something like that.
Just 2 years ago, I started wearing the front zip wetsuits, and man, I like them. They are a little bit more difficult to get in and out of in the shoulder, but I'm not embarrassed to ask for help. So, hey, get me in and out of this. But I like them. I don't think I'll ever go back to a rear zip. Nothing against them.
Should we get into like a really deep wetsuit conversation here?
Maybe not. I don't know how deep you're planning to go.
Well, the other day I had to get out of the water because I had to pee. Because I don't like to pee in my wetsuit. So,
Okay.
That's one of those
I'm
things.
with
It's
you.
a debatable. We'll just leave it at that. You can't never say you never peed in your wetsuit.
Okay.
Everybody, but I'm gonna say that's not a big thing for me. So.
Not me. Once I'm in that, man, I'm getting in. Whatever happens, I'm going in the car.
Yeah, but they're so sealed now too. That's what I was gonna say is they're so sealed now. So a lot of them have the stitching on the inside or the outside, and then they have like a welded seam, right?
Gotcha.
And then some of them just have stitching and they leak water right in. So that's the other thing too. So when you're buying a wetsuit, there's a lot of things to look at. You could look at, is it a sealed wetsuit where it lets some water where it doesn't let water through the seams, or is it let water through the seams? So that's all things. And the water, a little bit of water gets in there and keeps you warm.
Yeah, and the last little thing I'll say about equipment, in that if you're built a little not standard, each wetsuit's a little bit different. And what I figured out through trial and error just over the last couple of years is I've been buying my wetsuits smaller than I should, because when the water gets in it, and this is my experience, it expands and I move a little bit better. It's tight getting in. When I buy one that truly fits me, like in the surf shop, when I get it in the water, it's too big for me. So that's why I've been buying it small. That's what's been working for me. It lets less water in. I might give up a little bit of flexibility, but I'd rather have that thing fitting skin tight. That's just for me.
Yeah, I mean it should be tight. It should you see. Yeah. So here's the rule: when you're putting on a wetsuit, if you put your hands straight out, right, you don't want to have any. If it's tight right here, if it's too tight, there's going to be a lot of material. There's going to be a lot of material under your arm because you're stretching it. But if it fits real well, it's going to be more curved to your arm. So that's kind of one of the ways you could tell. So, but you definitely don't want it too big because then you're going to get a lot of water in there. So, and then, booties, gloves, pretty much standard. Most of them are 2 or 3 mil. It depends,
Right. So, boys, girls, ladies and gentlemen, go down below and tell us what you're wearing, what kind of wetsuits you like, stuff like that. It's information that we need, information that we can use, some stuff you guys want to hear about, equipment-wise pertaining to winter, which is kind of the topic that we're in. So, if I'm wrong, correct me, there's somewhere below that they can actually...
Right. If you're on our YouTube channel, if you're watching it at YouTube, below you can leave comments, like and subscribe and share our page and all that good stuff. Spotify, we're still new to this, so Spotify...
Yep.
I believe you can leave comments too on Spotify. So go to subscribe to both our, Spotify and YouTube.
Thank you guys for watching.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw this out there too. We're currently looking for a producer. Doesn't pay anything except surf wax. Because Austin and I have kind of stumbled and mumbled and fumbled through this. Fortunately, Austin is technologically more advanced than I am. But we're not communication graduates, so we want to get this up and running for the surfers. This program is about surfers and for surfers, but we could use some technical help. If someone's out there that wants to come in and advise us, man, I don't think Austin is going to have a problem with that either, are you?
No. Right now we're just going to, like, for instance, like we're going to thank our sponsor, our location, the surf station. We're going to run
100%.
it. We're going to run it across the screen on our ticker.
Yeah, I'm going to actually physically run it across. Look at that. Surf station, where you can get everything from a fin screw to a 10-2. Come on down.
That's true. All right, guys. Hey,
Peace
we appreciate it.
I love y'all, man.
Like I said, stay tuned for our next episode. We're going to talk about some more stuff.
Much
Peace
love.
out.